This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the Masai Mara. We've got quite a bit of action happening around us, and we've got the lions of the Olololo Pride very far from where they should be, but we'll get into that a little bit later. My name is Brent Neosmith. I have the big man himself, James Moriti, on camera, and not only do we have the lions of the Olololos next to us, and you can see them there flopping down, they have just chased the happy zebra clan of hyenas off a carcass. Now, they're quite spread out, but there are 16 lions spread through this area. Oh, let's see. There we go. There comes another one out of nowhere. Oh, and the hyenas are starting to make some noise as well. Isn't this wonderful? Remember, this is live. If you have any questions for us, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now, as I said, the Happy Zebra Clan are also not far away. They're just to the other side of us. Ooh, hyenas a bit upset about having their breakfast stolen. Now, fortunately for the hyenas, there was almost nothing left when the lions arrived. And we can hear the migration not far from us as well. We can hear the gnawing of the gnu's. But let's just have a quick look here on the map to give you an idea of where we are. So there is the Olololo gate. You can come in a bit tighter. Let's go into this area here. Keep coming. So the Olololo Pride, traditionally, that is their sort of boundary, this little Sheni river system here. So they stay in this right in this top northern corner of the triangle. We are, if we come out a bit there, we are down here. That's where we are, right there. And the reason the Olololos have moved this far south, this is the furthest north the migration's got this year. So what's happened is I think they've been so pressurized for food up in the northern corner that the sound of the wildebeest traveling from afar would have brought them all the way down here. Oh, there's Pike, the dominant female of the Happy Zebra Clan. Hello, Pikey. The lions steal your breakfast. There's probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 hyenas around. There are obviously about 50 members of the Happy Zebra Clan, but I think they look full. There wasn't much food left, so it doesn't look like, oh, they're going to continue on to harass these lions. But it looks like the lions have also finished and are now moving off to where we saw a few other lionesses a little bit earlier on the main road. You can see dawn about to break. Wait, let's just wait 1 second. Just coming in next to us is one of the hyenas, and there's a lot of young lions here. Well, the adult lionesses have moved off, so let's just wait 1 second. Let's go across to this hyena here, and let's see with the young lions there. They're all about ranging from about 7 months to a year and a half. How much braver this hyena is without the adult lions being present. Probably only about 7 or 8 meters away from the lions. There are 5 or 6 of the little ones. What you doing? Come on, go give them a fright. Go give the lions a fright. No, the hyena's moving off. So while we sit here to see what happens next, let's send you across to Commander Bond to say good morning.
Good morning, hello, and welcome to the sunrise, well, pre-dawn part of the sunrise safari here from the Western Kruger National Park of South Africa. My name is James Hendry, and I am driving around in the darkness looking for Tingana, the male leopard, who we think was shouting around here sometime earlier this morning. So, that's what we are doing. You can talk to us, of course, using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Otherwise, you can catch us on the YouTube chat stream. We are still in infrared, and that is because it is pitch dark. There is quite a nice moon out at the moment. It's just off full. And so there is a dim blue light bathing the Lowveld here. Now we've come to the Gallagher Pan, which is just behind our camp, and to see if we can find Tingana. We did not find him. He was shouting his head off this morning. I know a number of you saying that he and Hukamuri were shouting at each other, which I think was fairly astonishing. I don't think it was two. I think it was only him. I might be wrong. But if the two of them were in some form of conflict around here, certainly all of the calling was coming from the same place, then, well, it would be unlikely that they would have been shouting at each other. They would have been probably lying next to each other growling. But I don't think there were two leopards calling this morning. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. So that's the story for this morning. Obviously tracking is very difficult before it gets light, and so we're just going to drive very slowly along and see if we don't get lucky. We don't want to drive over too many tracks. Later on, we will be joined by the great Sydney Mikosi on guided walk, as he likes to call it. I think it's quite a nice way of describing the bushwalk. And of course, we do have the inimitable, irascible, and highly entertaining Brentleo Smith. Carol, nocturnal animals? Yes, well, we've certainly found already a number of scrub hares. I found two on my way to coffee this morning. They were sitting looking naughty. I don't know why they were looking naughty. The number of bunnies around the place would, I suppose, explain why they were looking naughty. So that is our plan. As dawn breaks, I expect the sun will come up probably in about 25 minutes or so. No, maybe half an hour. No, more than that, even 45 minutes. 6:15 it'll be up. It's now barely past 5:30. But there is a little bit of light on the horizon. Right, we've driven this area already, so we're going to go a little bit faster, and then we'll see what we can find further up. I think someone is hailing me on the Game Drive radio. I'll try and figure that out. In the meantime, we shall go back to the Republic of Kenya, in the Masai Mara, where Brentleo Smith has become much more colourful.
Well, look at that. We have a jackal amongst the hyenas, and look how happy and fat the happy zebras are at the moment. Oh, dear. Their den is not too far from here, and if we look down the road... Oh. Good morning, Hummerkorp. If we look down the road, you can see some of them look like they're heading back towards the den. The lions have pretty much abandoned what little was left of that wildebeest. So I'm going to just loop around. You can see them walking, just make them out walking through there. So what we'll try to do is try to get the greeting ceremony with the other adults. But now we've got decisions to make, because the hyenas might come in for a last bit of fun on the bones, but we'll come back and look for that. And there's probably about 50,000 wildebeest not too far from me here. It's a bit difficult at this time of the morning, but if we have a look, there we go, you can just see the wildies all in the grass there. The constant gnawing is incessant. So Calstix is wondering, will the Olololos and the sausages fight? Yes, but I think the Olololos will win just out of sheer force of numbers. They've got quite a few little young boys in there. And even though a lot of them are quite young, if the sausages saw 16 lions coming towards them, they would skedaddle. It is often it is discretion that is the better part of valor when it comes to lion fights. Oh, there we go. There's a whole pile of lions in the road. There's still more coming out of the grass here, and there's still more ahead. Lots of hyenas also heading back towards the carcass. Oh, more migration there. Cobalt is wondering, are you able to smell the migration as well? Yes, you can, definitely, as you get closer. We can see there we've got a pile of lions in front of us. It looks like only one adult female there. We had three adult females, sorry, a bit earlier down the road. Oh, look at them, it looks like they go to the front one. It looks like it's going to might chase the Hummerkorps for good fun. There you can see the size difference. There's the adult female on the right. And there's another adult female lying up ahead. But Hummerkorps are really enjoying this rainy weather we've been having. There's lots of frogs around, and it's one of their favorite foods. Lions interrupted the hyenas' breakfast. Now the lions interrupting the Hummerkorps' breakfast. And you can see some of them are well fed, some of them are not. This little cub on the far left, look at that swinging belly. I think there's no other way to describe a fat lion when they walk. They just have a swinging belly. And the sheer weight of meat sends it from side to side. Now, as I say, I think there's still a few lions behind us, but in the long grass we can't really see. Here I can hear a lion calling. That sounds like a bigger one. Giving a full roar as well. Now, Child of the Universe is wondering, what are the determining factors in victory for lion pride fights? Well, it always helps to have a numerical advantage. The more you are, not only the more fighters you have, but even in a case like this where a lot of these are too young to fight, it's just the sheer look of numbers that will worry the other pride. We've got a wonderful sunrise happening off to the east of us. Beautiful morning out here in the Mara. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to follow these guys for a little bit. But they're heading away from the migration now, so I might still head south to look for the sausages a little later. So we left the other lionesses lying probably 100 meters up ahead. So we might get a nice greeting ceremony, so we'll stick with them till there at least. Now while the sun is rising and we're having a spectacularly beautiful morning here in the Mara, James Henry is still bumbling about in the dark.
Well, it's lightening slowly, and we've got some impala here that I think we should look at with the FLIR thermal camera. Right, we're on the FLIR camera now, I believe. There we have got some nice colours, very pretty pinks and purplies and yellows and oranges, which I think are quite pretty. We're also stopped up here near the northern boundary, seeing if we can't hear the sounds of a leopard calling. Haven't seen any tracks, but I shall do my best, I promise you. And slowly the horizon is turning the same colour as that impala. The impala obviously isn't really that colour. It is its normal brownish colour. That is the FLIR that makes it look that colour. Yes, many of you still waking up and saying hello. I suspect many of you are thinking about going to bed fairly soon in the United States. Let's have a look at the other side there, Ferg. We'll just go across the way. There are a whole lot more there. Or there were a whole lot more there. There they are. Hooray. Yes, well, it is quite dark, Fergus. And let's let's just listen quietly to the dawn chorus, which at the moment seems to consist almost entirely of a fiery-necked nightjar. Carol, he says, nose is so bright it may even be said that it glows. Normally the noses are quite cold, but let's have a look. Naturally, it stuck its nose behind one of the bushes. Yes, it is quite bright, actually. On the cats, they're freezing. They're the coldest part of the animal. Just in case you are looking at this for the very first time, what this is a camera that picks up a mammal heat signature, obviously, or a avian heat signature. Picks up birds too, anything that gives off heat. So in summer, it's pretty chilly the morning today. It's probably about, I'm going to say 11 or 12 degrees Celsius, so in the region of 56, 54 degrees Fahrenheit. In summer, when it's really hot and remains hot, and on some mornings it will wake up and it'll be 30 degrees Celsius, so round about, what is that, it's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit or so. The trees will be very difficult to discern from any mammal because the heat that they give off will be the same. From very hot days into very warm nights and warm dawns. Good, that is quite nice. One or two drongos getting up, a couple of franklins down in the valley of the Great Mlomati. But otherwise things are pretty quiet out here. Let us press on, see if we can find ourselves Tingana the male leopard. Wood. Still got the spotlight out, got me gloves back on again. Thought I'd put them away, but I haven't. Can't keep the light on. Oh dear. No, the light is not working. Oh dear. I'd have to have that looked at. Oh well. Apparently it's snowing in Cape Town, I believe, or it has been. That is quite astounding. There has been snow on the mountain there quite frequently, but not actually on the low-lying areas next to the coast. I suppose that's what they deserve, really. Fergus, you really did bring a picnic set with you today, didn't you? Kev, the Kruger National Park has been traversed in its entirety, and it has been for some, well, I'd say at least 100 years by conservationists and by people who just lived here prior to that. And before that, of course, well, I mean, before what am I trying to say here? Well, say for about 1,000 years, Bantu tribes have been coming through this area. And for about, well, we don't know how long, but many tens of thousands of years before that, there were Stone Age peoples pottering about in the Kruger National Park. The Bushmen were here. They've left their cave paintings on various rocks in various parts of the park. So it's been pretty much continuously explored by human beings for, I don't know, at least 50,000 years, possibly even more than that. Lots of Stone Age artifacts you can find. Many axe handles, flints, spear points, cutting edges, Bushman paintings, as I say. The thing is that it was never particularly thickly populated as far as we can tell, and that of course is because of disease. The tsetse fly, nagana, sleeping sickness, malaria, and various other diseases have kept people out of this area in the summer. So people used to come in only during the winter months when the disease was gone because of the cold. Now, of course, one must wade through sort of reams of political propaganda in order to try and discern what really happened here and how many people there really were over here, because of course it suited the government of prior 1994 to say that there had never been anyone here, and that's why it was okay to sort of claim the place. And then likewise, you know, the government of the current day will change the narrative to suit their political ends. So it's very difficult to tell exactly what happened here, but as far as I understand it, certainly there have been Bantu tribes in this area from around about 1,000 years ago, and before that the San Bushmen were the occupants before them. Who knows? Alright, I don't know what's going on with Tingana. I haven't heard him again, but we'll keep on searching. And Leo Smith seems to have managed to find not only lions and hyenas and sunrise, but also floaty things filled with gas that is now hot.
Well, we just moved off the balloons to look at the lions again. But so there are the early morning balloons getting going and heading out. You can see them there. And the sunrise, which was incredibly spectacular, is disappearing behind a large cloud bank. So it is still absolutely stunning. Now, these lions didn't walk all the way to where the other lions are. So what I think we're going to do is maybe go have a look at where the hyenas are, and maybe come back to these guys later on, but I don't think they're going to get too busy for now. Fun in the mud. Whee! So there's 7 here, 3 down there, 10 down there, so there's still 6. Well, hello, Minamu. Minamu says, why do lions in the Mara kill so much and then abandon the carcasses? Well, Minamu, that's not only lions in the Mara, it's more obvious in the Mara just because of the migration. You get this huge influx of animals. But if one goes back to the drought at Juma a few years ago, the Nkauma Pride were killing buffalo and abandoning carcasses just as readily. Instinct takes over, and if there's something to catch and it's close by and it's making it easy for you, catch it, because you never know when your next meal is going to come. So quite often they'll take advantage of these times of plenty, and of course during the rest of the year when the migration's not here, it can be quite tough. Hello, Hammerkorp. Sorry, now the lions disturbed your breakfast, now I'm disturbing your breakfast. Oh, flustered and upset looking Hammerkorp. I'm sorry. Did I chase all the frogs away as well? Here we go, I can hear another lion. Oh, he's got one. Okay, there sounds like a male lion roaring, so I'm going to head down in that direction. Oof. Gump. So after the rains here, and especially up in this area, what happens is you get this incredible explosion of frogs, and a lot of these that the Hammerkorp. Yes, sorry. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, Hammerkorp? I need to go this way. Okay. No, stop flying. I'm trying to drive around you. Hammerkorp, stop it. Just see him there. Okay. No. There we go. You stay there. No, not going to stay there. Now watch, he's going to cut the corner onto the next road I'm going onto. There we go. There we go. Have a drink. And did you see that frog? There we go, he's having a drink now. Looks most upset with me. Oh, wattled lapwings you would have heard flying over. Okay, we shall leave the Hammerkorp to its own devices. I'm going to go look for this male lion. It could be Kipuli. Sounded like almost due south, or due south of where we are. But we're just going to have a quick look at the happy zebras who've come back onto this carcass. Hello, happy zebra. Hello, pike. Pike giving us the death stare. Proud cat, mama, how far can a lion travel in a night? Up to 20 kilometers if they have to. Seldom do they do, but they can travel over 20 kilometers. And again, it all depends on the area, the time of the year, food availability, and whether male or female generally travel much greater distances than the females in patrolling and defending their territory. Another lion coming in. So let's have a look what happens. I'm just going to get myself in the right position in case it looks like a young boy. Another one of the missing members of the Ololo Pride coming in. Okay, let's think. Let's just swing a little bit. The hyenas haven't seen him yet. So it looks like one of the slightly older little boys. And he's also got that fat tummy wobble. Now it's going to be very interesting. If he's by himself, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hyenas. And there's more than likely 1 or 2 others that I can't see. And they might actually chase him if he's by himself, which could lead the rest of the pride to come wandering in. We might hear that hyena alarm call, which sounds a bit like the velociraptors from Jurassic Park, which is one of my favorite sounds. He's seen the hyenas. The hyenas haven't seen him just yet. Now, the hyenas have definitely seen him. Oh, there we go. There's that sound. Oh, he's a brave boy. Oh, look at him. He's trying to be big and tough. He actually looks quite scared, but he's swinging his tail like he's the boss. Pike, however, has got her tail up. And I think they realize it's just one male lion, so here it comes. Let's come wider a little bit there. And just have a look at the hyenas quickly. You can see Pike. Listen to those noises. Okay, let's... Looks like they're going to chase him. They're trying to make sure, the hyenas, before they charge, that there isn't another lion that they have missed. Here they come. They're looking to make sure there's no other lions. My head, sorry. Now, the fact that he didn't come charging in is going to be a problem for him, because I think the hyenas have now realized he doesn't have that much backup. Oh, I love the sounds hyenas make. He's crouched down in the grass. He's got his tail a swash. He's giving some low growls. As you can see, the hyenas not too worried about a single young male lion, and reinforcements for the hyenas are coming in. Reinforcements for the hyenas are coming in. So there we. So that the sound that sort of velociraptor-like thing has brought in other hyenas. coming in. So he's about to be outnumbered shortly. Or he's already outnumbered, but he doesn't realize he's about to be flanked. But we're going to keep quiet for a second so we can have guests from other platforms join us. Welcome to everyone. We are live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. We have a lone young male lion who has been separated from his pride, and he thought about trying to steal some food from a clan of hyenas, but the hyenas outnumber him probably 5 to 1 or 6 to 1, and they are not moving off. So he's standing there at the moment. Let's just move slightly. And we can see all the hyenas over here. My name is Brent, by the way, and I've got James on camera, so we've got all the hyenas there. Let me just move forward, and it looks like the male lion has decided that discretion is the better part of valor, and he's moving away. So the rest of his pride is actually behind the hyenas. Welcome to the Masai Mara in Kenya, and we've just had a young male lion who's been chased off by some hyenas. He's moving off. And he's been separated from his pride, who are actually in the opposite direction. You can see he's being escorted off by a single hyena, and the hyenas are finishing off a wildebeest off to the right of me. And my name is Brent, and welcome to a live broadcast from the Masai Mara in Kenya. There we go, we can see the hyenas there. Not much left on that carcass. A daily struggle happens between these two large predators. You'll notice the one female there has got a collar on. She is part of probably one of the longest ongoing research organizations. Sorry, not... Oh, what was that there? No. So, as I was saying, she's got a collar on, and she's part of the Michigan State University Hyena Project, which is one of the longest-running predator research projects in the world. And this clan of hyenas is called the Happy Zebra Clan. And watching that lion move away, there are more lions around, but I don't think there's enough meat on this carcass to really prompt too much of a fight back from the lions. Let's go see what that young male lion's doing. Now, Child of the Universe would like to know, do the lions have a growth spurt during the migration? Not necessarily. They grow as they would normally. They do have a fat tummy spurt during the migration, and it's often you find all lions very fat and very happy. So the hyenas that were escorting the lion have decided, no, it's time, we're going to come back towards the carcass. Okay, well, I don't think too much more action's going to happen here. So what we're going to do is say goodbye. But remember, we could go live at any time with a lion hunt, a lion-hyena war. So be prepared. Okay, well, there were 10 lions there. This is number 11, so I guess the other 3 must be down where this little boy is heading. I can see some vultures dropping down, so they could have had a few more kills last night. I mean, that kill there could have definitely been from the hyenas. It might have been from the lions. It's quite difficult to discern unless you were there at that very moment. And we headed out extra early this morning. We left camp at 5 a.m. Let's see where this young boy is off to. Okay, well, we see what's about to happen next here in the Mara. Let's go back to Commander Bond.
Well, much greater excitement going on in the Mara than here right now. I'm afraid I haven't managed to find anything of any use. We'll just stop here and have another listen as we look at a Birchall's starling on the road there. That's a birdie there. And of course also a red-billed hornbill. They're having a bit of conflict, obviously, over some termites. They're relatively equi-sized, but of course the hornbill has a much more severe weapon attached to the front of his face. Yes, hoppity-hop-hop. Doesn't look very happy to be in competition with the Birchall starling. We've had no sign of cat or dog, I'm afraid, at this stage. But we have heard, interestingly, that the den that the wild dogs had in the Manileti, which was found very late, has moved further south, basically to the pretty close to the Sydney's Dam area, just off Buffelshoek. So our chances of greater numbers of wild dog sightings over the next few weeks are very strong. And I'm sure there are termites just trying desperately to retreat back into their home for the day. Probably been out all night, and now these birds have discovered them. Susie, I'm not sure about archaeological digs. There's certainly been, in the Kruger Park, there's been a lot of anthropological research. I'm not sure how much archaeological research has been done. I guess up north near Tulamela there must have been quite a lot of archaeological work done. Tulamela is a relatively sophisticated settlement that was discovered many years back, in the northern parts of the Kruger National Park and the southern banks of the Luvuvu River. And there's quite a sophisticated culture, part of the Mapungubwe culture that grew up there. It was certainly much more sophisticated than anybody, as I said, we have a troubled political past, we have a troubled political present, but certainly in the past, any thought that Africa had sophisticated civilizations in this area were quashed by the government. And so, although it seems like a relatively recent discovery, these Mapungubwe and Tulamela ruins and cultures that underlied them or underpinned them, we have known about them for quite a long time now. And we think that the Tulamela and Mapungubwe cultures were connected in some way to Great Zimbabwe, which was another settlement in Zimbabwe, and that they in turn were part of a trade route that stretched all the way to the Mozambican coast, probably around the natural port of Sofala, and somewhere around there we believe that they traded internationally, because beads from China have been found up near Mapungubwe, Tulamela and in Great Zimbabwe. So there was definitely a fairly sophisticated international trade going on. And as far as I understand it, this was in about the 13 or 1400s, I think. All right, let's move on from our... Oh, what have you got there, Ferg? Oh, the moon. There is the moon. Hasn't set yet. Very pretty. Look at that. And a tree in the moon. Very nice. Okay, on we go. Haven't found any tracks yet. Still doing my best. Somebody who'll probably do a better job of finding tracks this morning, of course, is Sydney.
A very, very good morning. I am Sydney and welcome to the beginning of the guided walk. I am not traveling alone this morning. I am with David, who is my camera operator, and we are going to try by all means to give you the best experience. My plan for this morning is quite very easy. I'm going to look for Tandi and Talamba. The weather is perfect, not windy, but a little bit very cold. So I am hoping to do a lot of trekking this morning. So for your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. Dave, I'll be looking for some of the tiny little things here. So I can see that the tracks are not very clear where we are. So we're going to have to go down further towards the eastern side of the game reserve. Thank you very much to all the viewers who are showing a lot of interest on guided walks. Quite a lot of Faki, I will be linking quite a lot of stories on this guided walk this morning. There's quite a lot of little holes here, but I can see this is from the rats, but there's no clear evidence, but from these tracks it's showing me that there's quite a lot of rats here in this area. So those are some of the animals that are mostly active during the night. Yeah, I've got some evidence here if you can come, but there's too many holes here where I am. See this one. So let's go to Mara and see. One of the lions is approaching something on the other side.
Welcome everyone, and we are with the missing members of the Olololo Pride. Still the young boys and young girls, and they are walking straight towards a herd of wildebeest at the moment. Can you hear all the snorting? But they were a little bit conspicuous in their approach. Without the adult females, sometimes they're not so successful, but the thing is, with the migration, there's often injured or sickly things. So just walking in and pushing the herds might lead to one of these youngsters being able to make a kill of their own. I think they were spotted from a bit far. You can see they're not even running after the herd at the moment. Let's just move a little bit. Now, of course, these wildebeest might inadvertently run into the rest of the herd, so hold on. Oh, no, they've changed direction. Rest of the herd, the rest of the pride. I think Timothy, a hunt. I was hoping so, Timothy, but it looks like possibly not. And they might run into the hyenas and the rest of the pride, which might cause some pandemonium, but it looks like they've changed their direction now. The rest of the pride were directly in front of us, lying on the road. But you never know when there could be a hunt during the migration. Lion, lion. just the front wildebeest there. Just go all the way to the right. Just all the way to the end of them. Keep going, and a little bit more to the right now. I thought I saw something in the grass. Keep going right. There's another lion. Or is it a hyena? It's a hyena. So I said, these poor herds are often completely at siege from all sides by all the different predators. Now, the lions are still walking behind the last of the zebra. Poofy Poof is wondering at what time of the day do the wildebeest herds rest. Well, they will rest at night quite often and chew the cud, and that's, of course, when they're not being harassed by predators. Or sometimes during the heat of the day they will rest. Oh, listen, you can hear another lion. Right, there's lions behind us. I can hear them calling. In front, James has seen something. Is the hyenas chasing them or the lions? There's more lions somewhere. We're not 100% sure what's going on. It could be hyenas, it could be lions. To say this little herd that's separate from the really big herds has obviously had a torrid time, judging by the amount of carcasses that are scattered through the grass here. Doesn't look like anything managed to grab them there. I think they just got a fright. You can see a lot of them looking, the zebra particularly looking a bit nervous at the back. But it pays to be nervous when you're prey. Do you see something there, James? So this pride is very big and very spread out at the moment, so you never know when another lion might pop out. I think for the safety's sake, that's a hyena. Dr. Mark says that looks like a freight train of wildebeest. Indeed, it does. So, very, very exciting here in the Mara this morning. Oh, the lions are fat and happy and having a bit of a play on that Balanites tree there. Hey, kitties. Looking to where the herd disappeared. I just want to reverse slightly to see if I can see those ones that were making noise behind us. It sounded like there were other lions directly behind us. With this long grass, it sometimes can be quite difficult to spot. Okay, I'm going to go head towards where I heard the low contact calls of lions behind me. While we do that, let's send you all the way back to Djuma on foot.
I am now trying to hurry up as I did pick up a very serious distress call. We might see something very interesting this morning, not very far away from where I am. I just picked up something. It's like it's get caught. So let's go this way. Hebi is already in front trying to reallocate the place. So the call just came from this direction where I am now. So to me, that sounded like a kill. Something might have been caught here. So it is somewhere in this drainage line, this dry riverbed. So I'm not seeing anything from where I am now, but I'm just going to walk further high up and try to see what has been happening there. So it was somewhere here where I picked up the noise. So the sound, the distress call I picked up earlier, it was coming from this area. I'm sure we are right at the same place, somewhere in the thick bushes here. So we're going to try by all means to track and see what is going on here. Hopefully it might have been a leopard, but the distress call was too much. It sounded like it was a big animal. It was somewhere right here. Very difficult to see the tracks on the ground at the moment. So I'm going to have to look everywhere. And I can't pick up anything from the sense of smell at the moment, but I'm trying to use both my nose, my eyes and everything to get hold of this animal here now. So it was right somewhere over there. This is where the sound came from. I am definitely sure that something has been caught here where we are now. So while I'm trying to reallocate where the sound came from, let's go to Mara and see what the activities are doing on the other side.
Oh. Hyena. Well, we're coming. There we go. There's the lions we heard. I knew we heard some lions behind us making some noise. The last two members of the Olololo Pride. Well, they look like they're heading back to join the rest of the pride, and I think they've just left a carcass, so the vultures are descending, sorry. Let's get there quickly, and then we'll come back to the lions just now. Looks like they made a kill right in the road. I thought I saw a hyena close by as well. This is just that carnage you get during the migration. And you can see that wildebeest has pretty much been picked clean. and that happens in seconds when the scavengers descend, the vultures in particular. The hyenas will still find use for some of those rib bones. So, I was talking about carnage. Let's go across here to the right, Jamesy. There's one wildebeest carcass there. Let's go to the road. 2 wildebeest carcasses. And let's go all the way to the left. There are 3 wildebeest carcasses within 30 meters. A little bit more. There we go. So the lions have had a busy night. We've got white-backed, lapid-faced and rupels, all taking advantage of the bounty of the migration. There we go. There's a rupel's griffin. See, very distinct pale end to the beak, and they're a lot paler than the white-backed vultures. You can see there as it walks past some white-backs. Now, they are the second most dominant vulture around the carcass, being the second biggest in this area. The most dominant is, of course, the lapid-faced. There's some over there, a little bit. There we go. There's a lapid-faced. Got his own scrap, and they're the bullies around these carcasses. Chase everyone else off. Oh, and we got a marabou fight going on here over the remains of this carcass. We've got some intestines there. Lions calling again, the same ones we just left behind us. There was absolute carnage here this morning. Or last night, We're just seeing the scraps this morning. Oh. What happened? Oh no, there's a 4th carcass behind us that the hyena's feeding on. So there's been absolute mayhem last night. So just over there's a 4th carcass that the marabou storks took off to when they saw the hyena feeding. There's a lone hyena there. Who's just chased the storks off. Lions roaring, hyenas chasing vultures and storks. It's been a busy morning so far here in the Mara. Okay, I'm going to go catch up with the lions. In the meantime, let's send you across to James Hendry.
Right, well, here we are. We've come back to where Hosana was on the back end of hearing that there has been a distress call somewhere around here. Herbie is in the area with Sydney. Clearly it wasn't the animal that Hosana's sitting with now that made the distress call. We know that, of course, because, well, the thing that Hosana is sitting with has been dead for some time, probably just over 24 hours. Killed here by wild dogs yesterday morning, and still in the tree being snacked upon. There, a hyena coming in. I wonder if they're coming for this or if they also heard the distress call that Herbert heard. Hello, you beastly scavengers. Good morning to you. Yes, yeah, you can't climb up there. Sorry about that. Ha ha ha. Hosana looking at them with nothing but disdain on his face. He's found himself quite a comfortable tree there, I must say. The marula is definitely the dining room of choice for a leopard. Yes, lots of hyenas this morning, everybody. Of course, fewer here than there are in the Marsi Mara. Much smaller clans, sort of, I suppose you might describe them as guerrilla units as opposed to vast armies. I'm just going to quickly talk to Herbert. Go ahead. Herbie is on the radio. Go ahead, Herbie. He is now not speaking. I suspect he's quite close to whatever it was that he was looking for or at. I think he was calling me. Herbie, were you calling me? Affirmative. 2 hyenas here, Herb. Herbie wants to know if there are hyenas here. There we go. Shall I move back slightly, Ferg? We get a bit of a look at the hyenas. Oh, gosh, no matter where you arrive in this place, there's a bush in your way. Now we are having a school drive now, everybody. A school all the way from India. How's that? And we're just trying to get hold of them, find out if they are online, waiting and ready. Or if the Mumbai traffic has got to them. Not sure if they're from Mumbai actually. Let me find out quickly. Very nice to have Indian school. No, not sure which part of India it's in. It's called the Maharaja Agarsen. Anyway, we're going to enjoy our leopard and our hyenas down below the leopard. For that is what we do here. We find leopards and hyenas. A very blonde hyena, yes. I'm just getting Herbie's calling, telling me that that where that hyena was looking, there was more calling of something. Copy, thanks, Herb. Steph, yes, it is the twice stolen kill. Herb, what do you think's calling there? Now there's a leopard calling on quarantine clearings. I don't know who's discovered that. I did have the tracks there. Okay, Tristan says there's a male calling on quarantine. I'm pretty sure that it is Tingana. I had his tracks there, and they disappeared into the bush west of quarantine clearings. Gosh, there's lots of action going on here. Right, a very, very warm welcome to the kids of Maharaja Agarsen School in India. I'd love to know exactly where you are. Not sure how old you are either. Anyway, I hope you're having a good day there in India. Welcome to Africa. We're sitting in the northeast corner of South Africa on the western fringes of the great Kruger National Park, and we're looking at a leopard. Isn't that wonderful? Now, of course, you get leopards in India. They're the same species of leopard, believe it or not. And in fact, you get leopards very close to your cities in India. This one is in a wildlife area, and he's eating an impala, we think. An impala is one of the most common antelope that we get here. Rajant, you are interested in how fast a leopard can run. Well, this leopard can probably run at about 70 kilometers per hour, but only for a short distance. So they are quite fast, certainly much faster than any human being. Shall I move forward a bit, Ferguson, and you can get a better view? My name is James Henry, by the way, in case you're wondering who's talking to you. We've got Fergus on the camera. Hello, everybody. And you can ask us as many questions as you like. I think we're going to get a slightly better view there. And we've also got some hyenas on the ground, if you can believe it. Lots of animals here. There we go. Now they're going to fight over a piece of leg. Just been dropped by the leopard. Anishka, it is a terrible idea to feed animals during the safari. We must never feed wild animals. Wild animals find their own food, and as soon as we feed them, they become dangerous. They are afraid of human beings at the moment. They live naturally without our help, and as soon as we try and feed them, they become dangerous to us because they stop being afraid of us. We have tremendous trouble with monkeys and baboons, which are like monkeys, in various parts of South Africa because people think they're helping by feeding them, and they're not. And you can see these hyenas are not thin. They've got lots to eat. We don't ever feed them. And they're having a fight now over a piece of the impala, and the leopard's watching, thinking, what a silly bunch of hyenas. He thinks it's very funny. There we go. There's not much really to eat on that except a bit of bone and hair. And these hyenas will have to wait patiently down below to see if it perhaps drops a bit more. Now, we are sitting here in the northeast corner of South Africa. We've also got a friend up in the north in Kenya, and his name is Brent.
Listen to that. Lions roaring. Is that an incredible sound? What a lucky safari you guys are having. From leopards in South Africa to lions in Kenya. Morning, my name's Brent and I'm in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and a big welcome. I can't wait to hear all your questions. Well, let's get a bit closer to the lions. Hopefully they're going to roar for us again. Now, this is a very big pride of lions. There's 16 of them, but we've only got 3 here. The rest are spread out through the grassland. They've had a busy night. They've killed at least 5 or 6 wildebeest that we know about, and they've all got nice fat tummies, so they're probably going to find a nice shady spot now. Oh, quickly across to South Africa.
I have got a pride of lions at the moment. I've just got a visual. There's quite a lot of females. They're not too sure which pride is this. Maybe the distress call we heard earlier was from them. So I'm just going to walk quickly down here just to have a better visual. So I'm just going to try and approach from this angle here. All right, yeah, the most dangerous animal in South Africa, I can say it is the hippopotamus. So the hippopotamus, they spend much of their time in water, but when they're outside, they can be very much dangerous. So those lions are just moving towards this direction. We might have a good sighting in a very short space. So let's walk fast. Hebi is giving me some instruction to come very fast. So you can hear there's quite a lot of warnings from some of the birds. At any time from now, we might see something. So it is here where those lions are heading to. So the francolins are just giving calls everywhere. I can see the lions from here where I am now, right in front of me. If you look there, behind those bushes, you can see some of them are going down towards that side. They're just everywhere. So there's one. So now let's go to James. James has got a better visual where he is now from the vehicle.
I think the lions are hunting. There's one over there. There are a few more to the left-hand side of that one. There they are. And then there are another two behind us. We're not far from the leopard, but these guys have missed the leopard. I don't think they're going anywhere near the leopard. But they seem to have heard something that I suspect they might try and hunt. This is the famous Nkuhuma pride. And we may well go back to the leopard, but let's just see what these lions do because they're moving around. They're listening carefully. Taki, these are lions, they're not lionesses. The big difference, of course, is that a male lion has got a... Sorry, they are lionesses, not lions. A lion has got a big mane. So he's got a huge amount of hair over the top of his head. So these are lionesses, but you can still refer to them as lions. They're just female lions. I suppose, strictly speaking, you might describe them as lionesses. Yes, there's definitely something going on here. I think they are on the hunt for something. You can see they have not eaten recently. They're quite thin. Oh, this is wonderful. Shariah, now I don't feel scared. And I don't feel scared because these animals are naturally afraid of human beings. I know that seems strange, but they are afraid of human beings. It's why Sydney was able to find them on foot, not in a vehicle, and he was in no danger at all. And in fact, I suspect what that lioness is looking at now is Sydney. Probably not looking at him because I think he's moved away, but certainly they were aware of the fact that Sydney was there. And you can see that that look on her face is not one that says, "Ooh, I want to eat you." It's the one that says, "Ooh, I want to stay out of your way." So they're afraid of human beings. Remember, that changes as soon as you start to feed wild animals. When you feed them, they become dangerous. So I'm not afraid of them here. They're listening very carefully. Afiza, no, not all the animals in the jungle are carnivores. Most of them, in fact, are not carnivores. In this area, we don't really call this a jungle because we don't have big forests like you do in India. But most of the animals here are herbivores. They're vegetarians. So the only carnivores we have here are the lions, the mongooses, the leopards, the cheetah, the wild dog, and the hyena. And I suppose some other things like civets and genets, but they also eat a bit of fruit. Also jackals and wild dogs. But there are lots and lots of herbivores. Impalas and kudus and nyalas and bushbuck and waterbuck and duiker and steenbok, squirrels and porcupines and what else? Lots and lots of them. And there are far more herbivores than there are carnivores. I think things have calmed down now. They don't seem to be going anywhere just yet. Now that one that you're looking at there is the oldest lioness in this pride. We know that she's old because she's got a very black nose. And she's quite interesting because she's got very yellow eyes, as opposed to the one that you saw a little bit earlier, who's one of our most famous lionesses. And she's got very orange eyes. Her name is Amber Eyes. That's her there on the ground there. There we go. Well, Navika, the normal lifespan of a lion is not very long, believe it or not. They only live for between 10 and 12 years normally. Sometimes they can live longer. And I think the oldest lion in this area, the oldest male lion in this area ever recorded was about 16 or so, 16 or 17. Lionesses, I'm not sure what the oldest was. But they don't normally live for that much longer than that. I'd say this lioness was 9 or 10. She's calling now. Listen, she's calling the rest of the pride. Watch her mouth. She'll start to make a little gentle calling sound. It'll sound like this. Ooh. 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 She's a beautiful cat. The rest of the lions have gone off to her right-hand side, so our left-hand side. There. Did you hear that? Let's just watch her carefully and see if she makes another sound. Very beautiful. She's just looking for the rest of her pride. Now the pride's 11 lions and we've only got 3 of them here. So the rest of them must be quite close by, I would have thought. In fact, I can see, we won't be able to see them with the camera, I don't think. There, she's walking towards them now. She's going to lead the rest of the lions towards them, I think. Righty, let's follow them. Alright, somebody else with lions, of course, and hyenas and wildebeests and lots of other interesting things up north in Kenya is Brent Leo Smith. I'm not sure what he's searching for or what he's looking for now, but let's go and find out.
Well, welcome, and I'm about to show you what the Masai Mara and Serengeti is most famous for. The Great Migration. 1.7 million wildebeest, 300,000 zebra, and a few 100,000 Thompson's gazelles migrate through the open grasslands of East Africa. Look at this. It is a wall of animals walking. And you probably can hear them gnu, gnu. And you can see they move with the rains onto the fresh grasses. And they travel a circular route of around 200 kilometers. Just over 260 kilometers. And the lions, the hyenas, the leopards, the cheetahs all take advantage of this massive feast that doesn't last all year because, of course, they move around. And the lion prides live in one place. So the lion prides live in one place and they take advantage when the animals are here. Okay, let's move through the massive wildebeest. Avik is asking, are zebras found only in Africa? Yes, they are. So zebras, even though a lot of people say they're wild horses. They're not. They're actually a type of donkey. So far more closely related to donkeys than to horses, but they are only found in Africa. You have 3 different types. You have the plain zebra, which is the one we get here. You have mountain zebras in southern Africa, and then in northern Kenya, southern Sudan, you have Grevy's zebra. So there are 3 different types of zebra, but they are only found in Africa. I'm going to try to get ourselves into the middle of the thickest part of the wildebeest. It is just something so spectacular to see the wildebeest moving like this. Ritvik would like to know, are gorillas found in Africa? Yes, indeed they are. They are only found in Africa, but they are not found in the area where we are. They live either in the highland forests of the Virungu Mountains or the lowland Congo Basin forests. So, just more wildebeest. They are not found in the open grasslands. They live in forests. The closest gorillas to here are probably about 600 kilometers to our west on the border of Rwanda, Congo and Uganda. Whoop, there's a big hole. It's just incredible to see the streaming of the wildebeest. It looks like we're getting through the end of this big herd, but there are lots of big herds around. Now, when we're looking for lions and stuff like that, we normally drive on the edge of these big herds, and that's where the predators are going to be. Now, just listen to the sounds quickly. Oh, that's the wildebeest talking to each other. Moo. No. Moo. And that's where the wildebeest get their other name from, the gnu. And you might hear, whoa, 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 whoa. Sounds a bit like a donkey. That zebra's calling in the distance. There are a few zebras amongst the gnus. You can see them there. Oh, the sounds are just incredible. Okay, well, I see if I can find any more big cats around the wildebeest. Let's send you back to Sydney on foot.
I have just left the lion sighting. It has been a very fantastic sighting. I really enjoyed lions on a guided walk. So now I am now heading towards the eastern side of the game reserve, where I am hoping to see some of the other tiny little animals. Quite a lot of scrub has been here, a lot of evidence. Arash, in South Africa, we do have quite a lot of plants, variety of the plants that are occurring by the bush. The big plants such as the jackalberries, we have got quite a lot of different grass species and some of the shrubs as well. And some of these trees, they are medicinal. So I'm trying to check and see if we can find any of the interesting things here. So these trees that are growing here in Southern Africa and all the trees that are growing anywhere and everywhere. Interesting part about the reproduction of trees is that they don't choose who to breed with. The insects such as the bees and the butterflies is the one that decide to mix these pollen from the different trees of the same species in order for these trees to bear flowers so that we can have fruits. The hottest month in South Africa is by the spring, just shortly after the cold season, which is the winter season. Going to spring is very much hot, but also in summer it does get very hot here in South Africa. But now I can feel it's starting to get very much hot because we are not used to this kind of weather anymore, as we have just left winter. We are heading towards the spring. Next week, it will be the beginning of spring here in Southern Africa. Now the water animals that we can see during safaris. You see the big animals such as the hippopotamus. Hippopotamus can survive both in water and on land. And we can also see some of the water lizards, the water monitors. When going to the water holes, those kind of animals, we do see them. And probably some of the fish as well. We see them when we go to the water holes, including big reptiles such as the crocodiles. So now let's go back to James. He's very lucky with Hosanna this morning. Let's see how my favorite cat Hosanna is doing.
He's doing fine. He has got his belly hanging over the tree there. You can see he's eaten very well during the night. And so he's very happy to be where he is. There we go. And he's watching the hyenas below, who have now walked off into the bushes. And I think he's also... he's careful he doesn't fall out. There we go. He's still trying desperately to fit more food into his fat tummy. One of the most eaten thing here in South Africa by humans is something called maize meal porridge, or what we call here pap, and in Kenya they call it ugali. And basically it's ground up maize meal that is made into wrong comms there. Basically it's a ground up maize meal porridge that is made into a porridge, and you mix it with water. It doesn't taste of anything really. It tastes of whatever you put in it. So for breakfast a lot of people eat it with milk and sugar. And if you have it with your lunch, you'll have it with tomato and onion mix or spinaches. And you might even have it with a bit of meat if you're lucky. That's the most commonly eaten thing here. It's not very good for you, but it's quite cheap. I suppose it would be the equivalent of rice in India. A lot of people eat rice, of course. There's not a huge amount of meat left on this carcass, and so I don't think he'll be here for very long. Or Anash, you can see where the leopards take the animals that they catch. They take them up into the trees. And they take them up into the trees because hyenas can't climb trees, and so they do not have their kills stolen from them. Because hyenas will steal any meat that they can. Isn't that a lovely picture of the leopard in the tree with a lovely golden, at least not golden, lovely blue sky behind? And so you can see he's perfectly safe up there. The only disadvantage to being up there in Ash is that, of course, he's rather uncomfortable. It's not very comfortable to sleep in a tree. You should try it sometime. Go and find a tree and climb it and lie in it, and you'll see that it's not very comfortable at all. But it's a very safe place to be. No hyena can get up there and steal his meal. It's unlikely that a lion would climb and try and steal his meal. They do sometimes do that, but it doesn't happen very often. And there's not much left here. I don't think he'll be here for very long. And Rush, you're looking at it. You're looking at the best climber in the cat family, the leopard, certainly in this part of the world. In Borneo, which is a part of Asia, you get something called a Sunda clouded leopard, which lives almost exclusively, I think, in the trees. It hardly ever goes on the ground, so they're probably even better than these leopards in the trees. There are very few cats that don't climb well. A cheetah can't climb properly. They can climb a little bit, but not very well. But leopards and lions and smaller cats, African wild cats, servals and caracals, they can all climb trees if they have to. But I think this is the most skilled one that we have here. I suspect the clouded leopard of Borneo is probably a little bit more skilled even than this leopard. Now that is the rib cage. Not much meat left, and he's very soon going to drop that by mistake, I can tell. And then the hyenas are going to come running in, and they'll try and eat it.
Hi.
One of the most exciting things you can see in all the world, I think, is the great wildebeest migration of Kenya, and Brent is right in amongst it now.
And we are completely surrounded by them. 100% surrounded by, I'm guessing around us at the moment is close to 200 or 300,000 wildebeest. It is one of the most spectacular things in the world to be able to witness this many wild creatures moving through the African bushveld. It is incredible. Now I'm going to ask James to just keep panning around, and he's going to zoom down into the valley below us, and you will see how many wildebeest there actually are. All those little dots down there are just wildebeest, with the zebras interspersed between them. Incredible. It is a real privilege to be able to be out here. Listen to the sounds. Unbelievable. The most incredible thing is that they've survived the humans, and the fact that there are still this many of them. And the migration continues every year. Absolutely magic. Now, I think we're going to move off shortly and go see if we can find some cheetah. They also love the bounty of the migration. It's just that constant gnu, gnu, gnu. It is wonderful. So the best way often to find the cheetah is to drive on the edge of the wildebeest, and you take your binoculars. You always need a good pair of binoculars, and what you do is you have a look So what you're doing is you're looking for gaps between the wildebeest where the lions and cheetah might be, because with this many wildebeest, often there might be predators in the middle of them. Praneep is wondering, why don't we get why don't they get wildebeest in India? Well, they're an African mammal and they've evolved in Africa. Now, India has got some incredible natural areas, but the reason you don't get wildebeest, and especially this huge number of wildebeest, is because you don't really have these massive open plains that are devoid of people. Now, you do have lots of wild animals in India, but the reason the migration is so big in this part of the world is a combination of things. So those mountains I was telling you about a bit earlier, where the gorillas live, were all volcanoes, and when they erupted, they deposited volcanic ash all over this area, and the ash is very high in nutrients, and we're also very, very high. We're about 1,600 meters above sea level, so we get a lot of rain. So the ash and the rain created this grassland, and over the last 20,000 years, this grassland has been managed, well, not managed, but shaped by the Maasai people, a nomadic pastoral people who travel with their cattle, and when they move from area to area, they would burn, and that would keep this great grassland running. Amazing. Okay, well, I'm going to go look for those cheetah. And while we do that, let's send you back to Sydney.
I have got a lovely track here on the ground. I just want to circle it so that you can see very nicely. These tracks are the tracks from the zebras. And it was a group of zebras escorted by the predators. If you can show this side, Dave, there is a lion track. And this is telling us that the lions that we have just seen earlier on, they are conducting some hunting activities. Because I can see here, the zebras crossed here, and the lions are walking right on top of the zebra tracks. This hoof for the zebra can be very much dangerous to the lions, because if you can check, it's just a single hoof. It's a one solid hoof, and zebras can kick to death. Some of the zebras, they do break the jaws of the lions. So lions, on the ground, you can see how they conduct hunting, because here I'm only seeing few tracks going that way. I'm only seeing few tracks going that way. I'm going to draw this on an arrow. So this is showing you that these were aiming right behind the prey, in which, in this case, it was the zebra. Other ones were around here, but they were walking from the side to try and contain the prey. So that is how the lions conduct their hunting activities. So you can see here, I've got another very nice clear track of these lions. Avik, the animals such as zebras, I'm not too sure if you can find them by the other parts apart from Africa. As if I can still remember, one of the zebras was even taken to the Amsterdam Zoo, which was the Bachel's quagga, and the quaggas, they are extinct at the moment, and that to me was a sign that those kind of animals are not occurring in the other areas apart from the African continent. So I'm going to be moving now towards the western side again, of eastern side of the reserve, and see if we can find other interesting animals, including the small animals. Keshal, the zebras, let me just again check here on the ground so that I can show you. The zebras, they have got one toe. They fall under a group which is called Perissodactyla. Perissodactyla, it means an uneven-toed ungulate. Other animals such as impalas and buffaloes, they have got even number of toes. They have got 2 toes. Some of them have got 4 toes. Animals that are falling under the even number of toes, they are called Arithrodactyla, and those are the ruminants. In other words, on the ground, from the number of toes, you can also tell the type of stomach the animal has got. Oh, some of these lions were coming from this direction. I can see that they were trying to corner these zebras from all directions. You can see a lot of them also walked past here. So it means some were escorting, whereas some of them were trying to corner these zebras. So now let's go back to Hosanna. I haven't seen Hosanna for quite a long time, and hopefully this afternoon I might see Hosanna. Let's see Hosanna.
I am enjoying it very much, and don't worry, Sydney, I'm sure you will see him very soon. I don't think he'll be too far from here this afternoon. He'll probably go off and have some water. He's dropped another 2 pieces of meat down onto the ground. The hyenas have come in and stolen those 2 pieces of meat. Anyway, he's still got lots to eat, and he's had lots to eat, and he's also a very good hunter. And so I don't think it's too bad that the hyenas managed to get some of his breakfast. It is the way it goes for these animals. They often have to share, even though they don't want to. Shivanish, the smallest type of the leopard, I think, is the leopard that you'd find in the Middle East. So somewhere around the deserts or the semi-deserts of Arabia, Israel, Jordan, those sorts of areas. There the leopard is quite small, only weighs, I think, around 20 kilograms for a female leopard. And then in the Cape Fold Mountains, which is in South Africa as well, the leopards there are also very small. I think a male about the same size. Only 20 kilograms or so, sorry, for a female. And a male probably the size of a female here at about, maybe even smaller, probably about 35 kilograms or so. The biggest ones are these ones, I think, or our Southern African bushveld leopards, these ones. Also quite big is the Amur leopard, which occurs in the far east of Russia. But they're about the same size as these ones. There we go. All right, guys, you at school, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm not sure what time it is in India. I guess you must be getting close to the end of your school day, which is probably quite nice for you. I hope it's a good one, and I hope we'll see you again on Safari. Thank you very much for your questions and your comments. We'll hopefully see you again, like I say. Back to our cat. Alrighty, everybody, we're still here, obviously. You can still see the leopard there on the screen, eating his meal. Hyena has come in again. I don't know where the lions are. I decided to come back here because Brent, of course, had lions in the Masai Mara, and those lions were going into some deeply thick bush. And I quite enjoy hyena and leopard interactions, especially with Hosanna, our little chief. This, of course, is a kill that was twice stolen, as you say. Stolen by Tundi from Wild Dogs, and then from Tundi by Hosanna. So out here it really is a cat-eat-cat world. Ha 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 ha. Much thievery goes on. If something can be stolen, it will be stolen. It's not only Tingana that does the thieving. His son has learnt well from him. And so's Tundi. Tundi, of course, is not above scavenging off the wild dog. And I think it must have been only one wild dog that killed here. And the reason I say that is because the fact that a female leopard managed to steal from wild dog indicates that it was probably only one. 2 or 3 would have given her a run for her money. In fact, they probably would have attacked her. Brent is in amongst the herds of the Great Migration. I'm not sure if they're about to be attacked by the sausages or olololos, but I'm sure he'll tell you about that now.
Well, no, but we have noticed some other animals amongst the herds. There we go, with some Grant's gazelle in the background. And it's quite a bit taller and paler than the Tommies. We've sort of got our way to the edge of the herds at the moment. I find the Grant's gazelles extremely elegant. Hang on, where are my binoculars? Let's have a quick look. Nana is wondering where are all the buffalo and do they migrate as well? No, Nana, they don't really migrate. They move around the triangle depending on where the grasses are good and the lions are not harassing them. But during this time of the year, sometimes you'll find them amongst the wildebeest. Otherwise, they try to avoid them a little bit and might be somewhere else. Okay, well, let's keep moving. As I said, we're right on the edge of this big herd that we were passing through earlier. So, there we go. Oh, sorry. There we go, having some fun times. All the boys chasing each other. Off they go. Full with the joy of the morning. Or full of joy, as James Henry would say. And you can see there's still spotted and dotted pockets of wildebeest as we head further to the south. We're going to probably go have a look for the sausages for a little bit, and then if no luck we'll head back towards the olololos. Also for me, I'm quite interested to see how many wildebeest are still down around the sausage area. A lot of these wildebeest were moving in from that area yesterday and up into the burn. With the olololo pride here, oof, dangerous times for the winos and the sausages if they come up to the north. Now, of course, we've always got to keep a lookout for nomadic males as well. So young males will follow the migration a lot further than the other prides due to the fact that they don't have a territory yet. No. And so why not take advantage of this bounty? So nomadic young males will stick with the migration, and they're always fun to see as well. Just thousands upon thousands today. Beautiful morning. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Lauren wants to know what is the difference between the degrees of wildebeest. What was that? Sorry, can you go again? Breeds. The breeds of wildebeest apart from their appearance. Well, one could argue that the blue wildebeest is a super species, and it has different color variations, such as the white-bearded gnu we have here, the black-bearded gnu in southern Africa, and the Nyasa gnu in southern Tanzania, northern Mozambique, and parts of Malawi. Now, the Nyasa wildebeest has a white chevron, so like an Inyala or Kudu's nose, they have a little white thing there, but genetically there isn't too much difference between them. The only real separate breed of wildebeest is the black wildebeest, and they are a completely different species. They're not a breed at all. They are a completely different species, and they occur on the high veld of South Africa. Their horn shape is different. Up, down. Maybe James has a book with him. He can show you a picture of the black wildebeest. But Other than that, there's slight local variations in the blue wildebeest, but not much genetic difference. And the three main types are the white-bearded gnu up in East Africa, the black-bearded down in Southern Africa, and the Nyasa with the white chevron across their nose. I just want to have a quick look over this hill, and I think I'm going to pop back this way to the main road. Now, normally I would be expecting the Happy Zebra clan to be here. This is the Happy Zebra clan swimming pool, but I know they're busy feasting up behind us, but often you find them in this area. I just want to see, no, not too many wildies down there. Actually, no, let's carry on. Robin, when will the biggest herds reach the river? Well, Robin, it depends on your definition of the river. Most of these have already crossed the Mara River down south at the Lookout crossings. They are heading towards Main South, Main North, and the crossings they used more last year. But you must remember the migration's very late this year compared to normal due to the huge amount of rain that happened earlier in the year. So there is a possibility that they might not utilize those main crossings where all the crocodiles live as much as in previous years, because there isn't really a need to go to that northern section of the Mara National Reserve, because look at this lovely green lush grass we've got down here, and there's again a lot of grass all through the Mara Triangle and the Serengeti. So the herds haven't been quite as big on the other side. They haven't even been quite as big up until the last 10, or not even 10 days, the last 5 or 6 days. We've only had this massive influx of wildebeest into the areas that we operate. Now, I did hear a lion roaring down here somewhere. Could be Kipuli or one of the little boys. So that's why I'm coming into this area. And also always on the scout for Narratoy or Kakenya or Nasarian. And of course this is the sort of current northerly range of the sausage tree pride. And I say current because I've learnt a lot in the last year about how quickly the lion dynamics can change in an area like the Mara depending on food availability alone. Okay, I'm going to keep moving south, see what's happening down here. In the meantime, let's send you back to Sydney.
I have got one of the very much interesting trees. This is the magic guarri. And the magic guarris, they have got very lovely leaves which are like undulating. So the roots of these magic guarris, they are medicinal used. If you come and fetch the roots and give them to a pregnant woman, is going to help when it comes to the troubleshooting of the space confinement. So this is one of the plants we are using during the pregnancy in order to troubleshoot the space confinement. So when still talking about the pregnancy, my grandmother told me a story long time ago. And she told me that when she was growing up, in South Africa, they were using frogs in order to taste pregnancy. And she told me this story a long time ago. I even forgotten about it. And then as I was growing up, I started investigating just to check how was that happening. Now, this is how they were doing. She told me that they were taking the urine from the pregnant woman, whoever is suspected, and they take that urine and inject it by the cloaca of a frog. And that frog, if the frog lays eggs after 3 days, consecutive 3 days, it means the results are positive. And if the frog doesn't lay eggs, then it means the results are negative. And that is how they were detecting pregnancy. And the frog which was used, it is called the African cloud frog. And also another one which is called a platana. A platana in Venda we call it chinana. That is the one, if you find it, we used to find them and give them to the elders. And elders also themselves, they used to do these things by themselves in order to check this kind of pregnancies. So what caused the frog to lay eggs is a hormone which is only secreted by those who are pregnant, which is called a gonadotropin hormone. So that is an easy and efficient way to test pregnancy. And it has been happening in South Africa. So when I was told this story, I just couldn't believe until I grown up and started investigating, and I found that it's real and it works. Teresa, yes, those kind of animals, frogs, they are very much important. And also, if you can do that, if you can apply it today, you will see they're going to give you a good result. You will get results very quickly in 3 days. 3 days is too much. You will get even sometimes before that. So I'm hoping to see quite a lot of frogs during the rain season. As soon as the rain comes, they are going to come back. And I like frogs. James is becoming a favorite to Hosanna. Let's go back to James and see what Hosanna is doing.
Well, I'd be quite happy if I was Hosanna's favourite. It would be very nice for Hosanna to decide that I was his favourite Homo sapien. Hosanna, am I your favourite Homo sapien? Am I? Yes. Say yes. Come on. He's too interested in his breakfast. He's nearly finished it. I don't think he's going to be up this tree for the rest of the drive. I think you'll probably find he'll move off at some stage. Go and find a quieter place to lie with less spiky bits, perhaps in some shade somewhere. But you'd best watch out for the Nkuhuma pride, which I suspect is going to be finding some shade nearby fairly soon as well. If they haven't already pitched up on the dam cam to have a drink, keep an eye out there. Ravinda, yes, I suppose a leopard could eat a hyena, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't take that sort of a risk. A hyena, even if it was smaller than the leopard, has vicious jaws, much more powerful weapons than a duiker or steenbok. And while leopards certainly do eat other predators, I think you'll find it be very unlikely for a leopard to go after a hyena unless it was a very baby hyena. Certainly he's possessed of the strength and speed to get a hyena, but remember they travel in ones and twos, or twos and threes, often hyenas, and they are used to conflict, they are used to wrestling and boxing, because they live in societies where there is a hierarchy, and because they forage in groups, they are used to having physical conflict, which of course a leopard is almost designed to avoid completely, certainly with other predators. They do obviously have to take the odd physical hit when they are hunting, because that is the very nature of hunting, really. It is a glorious morning. There is no wind to speak of. I can hear the chin spot batises beginning their call. That was me, not the chin spot batise. Otherwise things are pretty quiet. The hornbills have just started to call again, making their gentle calls. You won't be able to hear that either, but they've been very silent for the last few months on account of the winter, and now they seem to be calling again, which is very nice. We have officially, of course, got another 3 days of winter left. Vilraz, I've got absolutely no idea. It is an interesting one. First of all, the question to ask is, where is Hukumuri and what is he doing? The answer is that he is in the western sector of this northern part of the Sabi Sands. He's on Arathusa, and he's on Elephant Plains sometimes, which is even further west of that. And so, you know, the question has to be asked, why and in under what circumstances would a leopard, sort of 3.5 years his junior, almost 4 years his junior, try and take him on? And I can't find a compelling reason for that to take place. Unless Hosana develops into a massive leopard and Hukumuri gets ill like Tingana did, I cannot see a reason for how or why he would take on Hukumuri. Certainly not physically. But interestingly, of course, Hukumuri has taken his territory almost by default. Yes, he's come in and he's called and that sort of thing, but he's taken over a part of Tingana's old haunts and also much of Anderson's old haunts, and that's largely because Anderson has vacated the area. Anderson has disappeared down towards Londolozi, and so he's left his territory unguarded, and that's allowed Hukumuri to move into it. And at the moment, I wouldn't say there's an oversubscription of male leopards in this area. For me, the most interesting part of this dynamic is the fact that Shidulu's boundary straddles the male's boundary. In other words, she lives on both sides of the Hukumuri-Tingana divide, and increasingly so as Tingana starts to expand further west again with the return of his health. And so that for me is very interesting. It is entirely possible that Shidulu, if she isn't pregnant now, here comes Hosana, after her previous or most recent mating with Anderson, it's entirely possible she'll try and seek out Tingana to mate with. Yes, hello, my fellow. Are you going to come down your tree now? Come down this way. Don't go down the other way. We'd like to take a photograph of you here. He's a bit confused over where to come down. Yeah, male leopard's not the most elegant descenders of trees. Oh, that was naughty. I didn't turn my shutter off. Sorry about that, everybody. That's very non-new these days. I keep thinking about moving the car, but then I know that he'll be on the ground before we get a chance to see him. Should we go? Shall we try? Let's try quickly. Oh, no, no, no. Here he goes. There we go. He's on the ground. The meal is complete, and now he must seek out some shade away from pesky hyenas. Yeah, he's observing the pesky hyenas. We should also watch out on the dam camp for him. He may well go for a drink there. He's become affectionately known as the Pan Pet in camp, because he spent so much time at the Pan, being spotted by the dam cam. Hyenas, now one of them's moving off, I can see. The other one watching Hosana, thinking, I wonder if there's anything more that we can get hold of. Ah, fantastic! The Nkuhuma Pride has arrived precisely where I thought it was going to.
Indeed it has. It has arrived at the nest cam, and how cool is this? A low-angle view of our pride having a drink. Now, they're spread out all around, and so we've only got some of them here. We've got, in total, we have 6 of them that we can see. The whole pride is around. You can see others are starting to come in from the background there. It's very, very cool. Now, we are going to take this onto another platform so that everybody can get to see the lions drinking. So I'm just going to stop speaking for a little bit. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very unique view of a pride of lions drinking. We are coming to you live from the Sabi Sands Game Reserve, and as you can see, we've got our Nest camera that is placed at a waterhole, and the lions have come in to have a little bit of a drink. Now, this is a live interactive experience, and so that means that you can all ask as many questions or place any comments that you have in the comments section below. Now, basically what's happened this morning is this pride has moved about and walked around all over the place, and they've now come for an early morning drink. It's going to get quite warm outside. You can see it's a beautiful winter's morning, and so they've come in and they are just having a little bit of a thirst quenching session. There is 11 lions in total in this particular pride, so it should be 5 adult females, and then there's 6 sub-adults, one of which is a male, and they're known as the Nkuhuma pride, and they are resident pride that we see in this area. But you can actually hear them lapping up little bits of water as they go. It's absolutely amazing. So, Daniel, you say you love this view of lions. Well, it's a spectacular view, isn't it? It's not very easy to get a view like this. I mean, normally the only other way to do it would be to be in a hide, which, of course, would be quite difficult because the lions generally are quite sort of shy when drinking if there's people moving around. And so we're quite lucky that we've got these cameras here and we can get these incredible scenes of them from such a low angle. Now, what I'm hoping is that they're all going to just lounge about around the kind of edge of the pan. What's interesting is that I can actually hear a leopard that is also sawing, moving in the direction of that pan as well. So there might actually be a leopard that arrives there some point as well, which it wouldn't want to be there, because if a leopard walks into this bunch now, it's going to be very upset with life. There's a lot of lions here, and that means that a leopard would be in quite some danger. But you can see the lions are all quite alert. They're just looking around. It's often the case when they go and drink is that they'll stop and they'll stare and they'll look and just double check that there isn't anything else that might be around, and make sure that they are not being kind of shouted at too much by monkeys in particular. If they are, then they often will walk off and just try and find a little bit of cover. But this is very, very cool. Now, sorry, Emma, if you can just repeat the name for me. Hulkana, I think, something like that. You say what a lovely sight it is. It's a beautiful sight. It's a very, very, very cool to see lions like this. You can see that they're kind of just watching. Now, most of these ones that we're seeing in front of us are sub-adults, bar the one on the far left. She's one of the older lionesses, and you can actually see that she's got a blind right eye, so she's got damage to her right eye, and she's quite distinguishable from the others. There's also another old female here who's got a hip wound, who I'm hoping will come down and have a bit of a drink, but it looks like most of them have drunk already. You might find that they have drunk around the edges of sort of past where the camera is and are all along the left-hand side. We can actually just double check and see if they have. We'll have a little look towards the rest of the dam. So if I just change camera quickly, no, they're not there. They've moved off already. And let's just check on the other camera. No, so not there. So they're all drinking mostly around the inlet, which means that they've kind of drank and then moved off a little bit away. You can see that one lioness is looking away. It means that the rest of the lions must have walked in that direction as well. There you go. You can see a couple others coming from the left-hand side. Absolutely wonderful. Raza, no crocodiles in this particular pan. It's very, very small. It's not a large pan at all, and really not great habitat for a crocodile. Too small, not enough food items that it could potentially get, and also wouldn't camouflage very well in this water because its back would probably stick out. It's quite a shallow little pan, this, and so in all likelihood it would not be suitable habitat. I mean, you suppose you could get a baby crocodile in there, but it wouldn't be a crocodile of any size that would threaten the lions in any way whatsoever. But you can see the lions are just kind of looking around now, and I wonder what they are going to be up to. The one on the right has definitely spotted something, and I believe a lot of you are loving the view of these lions just sitting on the edges of the water, kind of drinking and moving around. It's very special, isn't it? I think it's very cool. It's not every day that you get to see these kind of things. Now, unfortunately, both of them have put their heads on either side of the camera, and so we'll just have to wait and see. That one's going to just lie down a little bit and just see what's happening. Now, we've had a leopard that's been spending a lot of time in this particular area, and the reason why is because we're in our winter months, and that means that water is a vital resource for a lot of prey animals. And so I wonder if the lions are going to adopt a similar technique as the leopard has been doing and just sit close to this water hole and wait for things to come down in order to try and hunt and potentially maybe find themselves some food. Anyway, we'll sit with them and we'll see what they get up to. And if they get up to anything of interest, we will definitely go live once again. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you with us this morning. Hopefully you enjoyed this unique view of a pride of lions, and we hope to see you all soon.
Well, Pan Pet has not moved from here. He is still sitting. No, now he's moving. Pan Pet, do not go anywhere near the Juma Pan. There are lions there. Please don't get onto my lap either. Much as I'm very fond of you, I just don't know that that would be a good idea. It's so special every time that happens. It really is just very, very magical. To have a leopard walking close to you like that and looking up at you sort of goggle-eyed, as opposed to when Tundi does the same thing and she goes... No mistaking what she thinks of you back then. Alrighty. Well, he's going back towards those lions. I don't know how long the lions will be there. I have yet to see them spend time there. I've seen them drink, and then they seem to move off into the shade somewhere. I don't think they'll spend much time around that area, but he will definitely smell them if he goes anywhere near his favorite drinking spot. In fact, he'll start to pick up their smell fairly soon, I would imagine, because this is where they were. This is not far from where Roberto and Sydney found them earlier today. And apparently there are still 2 lions lazing about at the pan. And also, of course, the male leopard calling around there. Tingana almost certainly. Not impossible that it's Hogamore, but most likely Tingana. I think this guy's also going to maybe just find some shade to lie in away from the attentions of the hyenas. We are going to get into a situation fairly soon where I suspect we won't be able to follow him, but we'll keep trying for now. He's given us yet another hugely pleasurable morning. He does that a lot, our special Pan Pet. Wickedscape, a panther is a leopard. It's just a black leopard, a melanistic leopard. It also means different things in different parts of the world. But when we refer to a black panther, basically it is a melanistic leopard, the most classic one, of course, being the one from the Jungle Book, whose name was, Fergus? It was Bagheera, wasn't it? I think it was. And that is the most famous black leopard. It's exactly the same species, it's melanistic. Just means that it's got a lot more melanin in the fur than does a leopard like this. He's smelling something there. Somebody has done something to incur his interest. Right, we'll go now across to Brent, who is about. I don't know what that means, but apparently he is about. I'm assuming he's still in the Masai Mara. So let's find out what he's about.
Well, we're still driving through wildebeest after wildebeest, trying to find some kitties on the edge. And every time I think I've found the edge of the wildebeest, we hit another massive herd. There are truly a lot of wildebeest this year in this area. They were around in this area last year, but not in these numbers. And the burns we've had, the purposeful burn by the Mara Triangle and the burns that have pushed in from Tanzania have definitely helped increase the number of wildebeest we have, just because this lovely green flush is keeping them around. Now, I'm going to have a quick look around Kampia Mungu for the sausages. We left them not far from there. Cobalt is wondering, what is my favorite feature of the migration season? Well, you know, most people would say all that, the kills and hunts and whatnot. I just think for me, my favorite thing is just driving through this many wildebeest and just constantly there's something going on. There's a gnu chasing one there. There's a baby having a silly 5 minutes and jumping and dancing around. I just think it's incredibly special to just be able to drive through this sheer mass of animals and just take it all in. It is often called the greatest show on earth. Now, this is quite a sticky little hole we're going to go through here. It's quite deep as well, so hold on. Don't worry, Tristan, I'm not going to get stuck. That was just for Tristan. Opa, there we go. So the sausages weren't too far away yesterday, so I'm going to have a quick look down around this area. And then, if no luck, I might go look for some cheetah further to the south. Oh, thousands upon thousands. I mean, there hasn't been a spot today where I've driven from once it got light where I couldn't see at least 10,000 wildebeest at a time, if not more. Masses and masses everywhere we look. Oh, well, I'm going to continue my search for my favorite pride of lions, the Sausage Tree Pride in Kinky Tail. And in the meantime, let's send you back to South Africa.
I have got one of the very fascinating trees here. This is the weeping whittle. The weeping whittle, the name is coming from a very simple behavior where you will find this tree dripping some of the water as a result of some of the insects called the spittlebugs. So this plant, like some of the plants here, has got a very interesting medicinal role. And it has got quite a lot of traditional beliefs. Where I come from in Venda, this is the plant that we are using in order to wash away the blood which is believed to be connected with the deceased in the following manner. Let's say you are married to someone and you lose him. After that, you are going to be given this kind of a plant in order to wash the whole body. And this is how it works. We come and we take the bark and the roots, we boil them, and after that we come and slash. We slash here. Mostly you will see some, we do the slashes here, and then you drink this. The belief is that this plant is going to take out the blood of your deceased partner or of your lost partner. So this plant is called the weeping whittle. But apart from that, if you take the very same bark and then boil the bark and drink it, you can also help yourself when it comes to the problems, when it comes to the fungus. The fungus that are occurring by the sexual organs on both male and females can be healed from the bark of this tree. I'm just trying to check here if there is any other interesting thing going on around this tree, but so far it's much difficult to see. So I'm just going to carry on and see if we can find other small interesting animals in this area. The animals, they do eat this plant, because I can see as well here a lot of evidence that the elephants, they have been here. You can see this is probably the elephants eating. So elephants, how they eat is different from these other grazers. So the elephants, they are bulk feeders and they feed on these very big branches. So how the elephants slide their jaws, it's not the same as other herbivores. The elephants, they grind like this. They grind forwards, backwards. It's like a saw. Whereas the other ones slide like this. Elephants is forward, backwards. So that is how the elephant is, which is quite very easy to tell where the elephant has eaten. There's quite a lot of holes dug here, and some of the holes they are from the porcupines trying to get the roots from these plants, and some of them might be from the rats and some from the artifacts. But this one I can see is from the porcupine. It's not that big and doesn't have a shape showing that is from the artifact, as the artifact mostly digs here looking for some of the insects. And some of these holes, they are dug by the squirrels, because here is where the squirrels are hiding their food in order to survive during the dry season. So animals are very much proactive. By the beginning of the year, when there's quite a lot of fruits available, they know, they think ahead. They pack all these things underground so that they can survive during the dry season. Lauren, yes, we do have quite a lot of different plants that we can use in order to kill the headache. A very simple plant we can use for that. Let me look around here and see if I can see any of... Yeah, I have got one. Let's just walk much closer to this plant so that I can quickly show Lorraine about this plant. This is what is called a silver cluster leaf. A silver cluster leaf looks like this, but by this time of the year they don't have leaves. They look dead, but they are alive. They're just waiting for the spring to come, and then they'll start to grow back their leaves. So if you take the leaves from this tree and you just chew it, it is not that very sour and not bitter. Maybe to the other people is bitter, but I'm used to it because I've been using it in order to treat the toothache as well as the headache. You just have to come and chew the leaves in order to help yourself when it comes to that. Or else you must come and take a branch like this, and then you don't have to cut it. You just have to debark it. If you debark a branch like this one is dry, and then you take the fresh part of the bark and tie it here on your head. You will see on a very short space that headache is going to disappear. So that's how you treat headache in the bush. Also by the villages, some of the deep rural areas of South Africa. So let's go back to James. James is enjoying Hosanna this morning. He has always been there. He did not even spend much time with the lions. He likes Hosanna too much.
I haven't spent any time with Sydney. I really didn't think that was something that we did on Game Drive. If Sydney would like me to spend time with him on... Oh, I see Hosanna hasn't spent much time with Sydney. I've got it now. I was going to say I didn't want to be neglecting Sydney. If he wanted some more Game Drive time with me, I'll do my best to spend it with him. I could do a segment on Sydney. There is Sydney, everybody. He's walking along. He's found another bush. He's pointing at it with his stick. I think we'll stick with Hosanna, if that's all right. He is slowly sort of wandering towards his pan, where I suspect the lions are still within the vicinity. He had a brief sleep of about 5 minutes, and then a clean. And now he's moving and sniffing again, round about where the lions were. Sorry, boy. I'm sorry to have hit a small log that gave you that disturbance. Oh, Now we're going to have a bit of a sleep. How many of you are enjoying my jumper? Thank you very much, everybody. The reason I'm wearing it today is, well, because I lost my other one. I think it's in the tent with Tristan. And this is not really strictly bush colour. It is off-white, I suppose. But it's quite nice and warm, and I think it looks quite nice. It was given to me by my brother-in-law, who bought it. He's bigger than me, but so it was too small for him. I have a number of pieces of clothing that he's grown out of. Yes, I'm not sure that fashion tips is a good idea, Emma. I'm universally known for my poor sense of fashion. But, you know, there was something of a consternation in the National Geographic office at the end of the last TV show when my celebratory shorts appeared on screen. I actually think there were a few expletives that arrived. Anyway, you know, so I'm not known for my fashion sense. He's definitely smelling something. Thandi and Tlalamba were around here. And of course they would mark on a tree like this. This is exactly where you'd expect there to be leopard smell, because it's a guarri bush. And they often rub their faces in the guarri bushes and then mark them with urine. See what he does. He's trying to tell if this is his father or his aunt, at least his sister. See how he didn't mark. Josh, we are currently in Estonia at the moment. This is an Estonian safari. I bet you didn't know that you could see leopards in Estonia. Yes, I am, of course, joking, Josh. We're in South Africa. This is the country, South Africa. It's the best country in the world, in case you didn't know. Here we are in the Greater Kruger National Park, one of the most famous national parks in all the world. We're not actually in Estonia. I don't think you can do this sort of thing in Estonia, as far as I'm aware. You might be able to. Certainly not with these animals there. Bears and goats, says Fergus on camera, in Estonia. Possibly not in the same sighting. So the temptation, Josh, to be sarcastic there was overwhelming, and I do apologise for that. Where's this leopard gone? He's wandered off down through here somewhere. Straight down the path, straight towards his pan. Now I suspect he's smelling lion. This is definitely where Sydney and Herbert found the lions earlier today. And you can apparently see the lions on the dam cam, which means the lions, well, are still around there. He's quite a long way from there still, probably about, should we say, quarter of a mile, 400 metres or so, maybe a bit more. What's your head there, Fergus? Nasty stump that we've just got past. Well done. Well, nasty bushes. Lots of crinching and crunching. Now, this is where it's going to get a little tricky to get across this riverbed in front of us. A gully. But don't worry, we'll do our best. These Estonian gullies are quite deep. I think the actual country I wanted to mention was Latvia. We're in Latvia. Isn't it close to Estonia? Also a couple of bears and goats. Yee! Nasty log. Okay, I think we'll probably get stuck over here, so while we do that, let's go across the bushwalk.
I'm just trying to check here if there is something. This is a very nice hole. It's suitable for the insects such as the bees. Bees, they like to stay in this kind of environment, but I can see that they are not there. So now I am going to look around here and see there's a dead marula tree. Now the marula trees, also the one that I was just inspecting now, they do produce some of the very lovely fruit. And this fruit, if you take the seed kernel when it's dry and take the nut from inside there, the flesh, you can also make a very nice oil. And that oil is an oil which is very good as a skin care because it get absorbs and it can penetrate deep, and that will help you when it comes to the sun and everything. So some of the people, they even call it the African beauty secret. That is the marula oil. So these trees are not just favorite fruit for the animals. They can also benefit us as well. So I'm going to have to look for the marula oil, as now the sun is getting strong every day in order to take care of my skin. Otherwise, I'm going to get much darker than I am. Romet, there is quite a lot of different plants that helps when it comes to the toothache. One of them is the one that I indicated earlier, where I said it does help with the headache as well as the toothache. And some of them, it's just that here, I haven't seen a lot. Some, this is what we do. We go and we boil the leaves. And after boiling the leaves, you have to open the mouth and then you must have to drop right on the affected tooth, and that is going to help you as well. The tamboti tree, a very famous poisonous tree in southern Africa. It can also be used in order to treat the toothache pain. But how it works, you're going to have to be very much careful because you don't have to put a lot. You must have to go and break a branch, open the mouth and just have a single drop on the affected tooth. That is going to kill the pain. But also when having problems in the stomach, you can use the very same plant. But the dosage of that plant can give you a very serious detrimental effect. So you must have to be very careful and use a little, not too much. Because if you overdose, then it's going to be a problem. Ruby, I am not too sure if those kind of trees are happening here in Djuma Game Reserve. I haven't seen a tree of that kind before. So I still got to check, like during the summer season when the flowers and the trees are becoming active, is when I'm going to also identify some of the trees that are very difficult to identify at the moment, because a lot of features that helps me to identify these trees, they are not there at the moment. So when everything is dry, it becomes very much difficult to recognize some of the trees that I know. So now let's go to Brent in the Mara and see what he's got. I'm not too sure what sighting is having at the moment, but let's see.
Well, we just heard that the Sausage Tree Pride have crossed over a lugger where we can't cross. So we're going to leave the area, see what else we can find. Now, with all the rain, certain of the areas that we have been able to cross in the last month or so have now become impassable again. Whoop, up the steep hill we go. Mind the bumps. Lots of rocks on these hills. Okay, we're nearly up at the top. There's a lovely line of fig trees up here on top of this ridge. Who knows, maybe there's a leopard hiding here. Unfortunately, my comms cut out halfway there. So I heard Shishni had a question, but I didn't hear exactly what it was. Shishni, wildebeest and zebra have no need to fight, but if they did, I would say zebra would win. zebra are actually incredibly aggressive animals, bite and kick each other a lot, and quite a lot of zebra foals are killed by stallions, especially if the stallion is not the dad. So they don't fight, but if they had to, I would say zebra would be victorious. Now, they don't actually have any need to fight. So zebras are bulk grazers. So often, before you get the main body of the migration in terms of the wildebeest, you'll have the zebras arriving first. So they're bulk grazers. They're not so fussy about which grass they eat. Then you get the wildebeest, who are a lot more fussy and very picky about what they eat. So the zebras actually do the wildebeest a favor and then munch down the grass to a level that the wildebeest might like, and then the wildebeest will come in. Now, that doesn't only happen here in Kenya, that also happens in South Africa. That's why you often see herds of wildebeest and zebra together. Okay, I think it's time to hit the cattle track and head south. See if we can conjure up a cheetah. Lauren, yes indeed, a lot of baby wildebeests do get lost in the pandemonium, and they are often picked off by the predators. So a lot of the wildebeest that are born in the southern plains earlier in the year and around February won't make a full migration round. So the babies definitely get eaten more than the adults. It's warming up nicely. I think it's going to be a stinker of a day. Pretty warm. So what we might do, if we have no luck with the cheetah, might head towards the crossing, see if any wildebeest are thinking about taking the plunge through the Mara River. I'm going to go try and find some kitties, but let's send you back to James and Hosanna.
We already got a kitty. There she is. He is, sorry. That is, of course, the kitty Hosanna. He is still moving very slowly towards the dam. He's not far off it now. But now he seems to have spotted a squirrel. There is one shouting at him. Going tick, 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 tick. Now, if he went on drive yesterday afternoon, I must tell you that he killed and ate a squirrel. And it took him about 1 minute to devour it. He ate everything except the cleverly extracted intestines. How he managed to do that without opposable thumbs and a carving knife, I'm not sure, but so he did. But he ate everything else. He ate the head, the legs, the tail, in its entirety. He's just wandered up there. There, can you see him there, folks? Now, as Brent was saying, it's getting hotter there in the Marsi Mara. I feel like it's clouding over here. Definitely spotted something. Quite possibly a squirrel. Can't see if he's stalking. I'm just going to go back. We're limited in where we can drive in this particular area. He's just looking at us, actually. No, he's turned round. And we're straight back along the way he came. You can see now, we say this quite often, but you can see why it is difficult to track these cats, given that he has now done a 180-degree turn. Where are you going? I wonder if he hasn't spotted a lion. I wonder if the lions haven't come down here. I think they have. I think they're coming this way. I think the lions are coming this way. Let me move up onto the top here and we might get a view. Yeah, I think he's caught wind of a lion. Come on, little car. Oh no. Not good. No. Whoops, the daisies. Sorry about that, everybody. I thought I could get up there, but I can't. We'll go up this way instead. See how quickly he extracted himself. Where's he now? We got him straight in front of us. He's now following exactly the path he followed on the way back to the tree that he stole Tundi's kill out of yesterday. He's definitely got wind of those lions. I'm sure that's why he's moving up here. Angel, yes, it was sort of, I suppose, semi-scary. Yeah, look at him looking back now. Tail's going. He's not going to think about hanging around if he thinks there are lions close by. The lions apparently are not on the dam cam anymore, so they could easily be heading down this way. And as Fergus says, there's a squirrel going nuts behind us. Yeah, no sign of the lions at the dam cam. So, quite probably on their way here. Yeah, look at him looking there. I don't know if you can see them. I think you'd immediately see him crouch down if he had seen them. Oh, now he's going to have a little snooze. All right, let's try and gain some height, and then we'll see if we can look down towards where he's looking. Hosanna, did you see some lions? Was it terrifying? I don't blame you, I'd be terrified as well. I'll try and get up a little higher than this even, and peer down through the tambuti thickets there. We'll get behind Hosanna so that we don't obscure his view. And while we do that, I think let's go back to the bushwalk, who isn't making quite as much noise as we are.
I've just seen a decker is trying to run away from us. Look at how that decker is running. So this name decker is an Afrikaans word which means to dive. So how the decker runs, it's like diving. So you'll see he's going to go this way, that way, this way, that way. That is where this name decker is coming from. It's like a diving animal. So the decker is trying to run away from me, and it's a favorite meal for the cats such as Hosanna. Hosanna prefers the deckers a lot. I've seen quite a lot of number of kills for Hosanna, the deckers, and some of them were stolen by Hosanna as well. So now I am here in order to look for some of the small things, and I can see that small things are hiding away from me. So maybe I'll find something. Nothing here at the moment. So let's walk down this side and see. Maybe I might find some of these smaller interesting things. Only the elephant droppings. But here I've got some of these. Oh, look there. There's an ant here. The drop-tail ant. So the ants, they can be very much interesting. And these ants, what do they do when one of them is dead? If it's happening in the colony, if one of the ants is dead in the colony, you will see they are going to leave that ant for a while. It will take a day or two. But after 2 days, they have to drag the dead ant outside and send it to the graveyard. So the ants, they do have a graveyard. But what makes them to pick up that there is a dead ant in the colony? So these ants, there's something which is called oleic acid. The oleic acid is produced by the dead ants, but it doesn't come immediately after death. It has to take a day or two. After 2 days is when these ants are going to pick it up, because it's when it's going to start coming out, and they will they have to drag it and put it by the graveyard. So if an ant goes out for feeding purpose and by a mistake. So now let's go to James and see the lions with Hosanna.
Well, they're not approaching him. They've actually just gone past. They've gone through some thick bush the other side, and he's watching them very carefully. I can't see them anymore. We had a view of four. There's another one coming now behind Ferg, basically where the first ones came. You see it there? I can't see the screen for the sun and dirt on it. Yeah, pretty much through there. You can hear the go-away birds, and there are squirrels going crazy. But they're basically the bush. I think they may well be on Twin Dams Road, going south. He's watching carefully, is Hosanna. He's not very nervous. There they are, coming through the next gap. Disappeared again. I'm just going to keep looking there. I don't think they're coming down this way. Oh, there we go. You got them. Well done. Yeah, I think that's on... It's not on Twin Dams Road. I think they're just coming down through towards the dry pans. They are coming this way, you know. I think they'll bypass it, but they're not too far. Hosanna is very keenly watching and listening to the alarm calling birds as he goes. He doesn't look very panicked, but he definitely picked them up long before they could pick him up. Yeah, Angel, there's no need to be nervous for him. He's a long way from them. He's very, very wily. He survived this long on the back end of being able to escape the attentions of bigger predators like lions. And while he would have a lot to be nervous of if he was in their way, he certainly wouldn't be able to not escape from them. Mario, yes, I'm sure he's been this close to lions many times. I think he's probably been much closer to lions. He picked them up very quickly. I'm not sure how he picked them up. I think he probably saw them. The wind is blowing from behind him, so I don't think he would have smelt them. But he is very careful. He spotted another one coming basically way across the drainage line here. Very quickly. I mean, I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't seen his eyes flick to where it walked through a gap in the bush. So this pride is very spread out now. There's one actually straight, Fergus. I think that tree's going to be right in your way, but you can probably see them. There they are. They're just moving through there, everybody. There we go. There's one there now. Can you see it? No. The bush is in the... tree is in the way. Basically behind that big branch you're looking at is where they are. They're looking this way, or one of them is looking this way. I'm lower down, that's why I can see it. Lynn, never. The answer is a leopard would never confront a lion unless it was cornered and had absolutely no other option whatsoever. It would always run or climb to get away from a lion. That lion is between 2 and 3 times the mass of Hosanna. Quite possibly even, yeah, between 2 and 3 times the mass. He would have absolutely no chance whatsoever if he decided to take on a lioness like that. So it's not even a question of discretion being the better part of valor. It would just be suicidally stupid to take on a lion. Even the biggest male leopard, rumoured to be around 90 kilograms, completely unproven, is a good 30 kilos lighter than the lionesses of this area. They're also up for the fight because they live in a group, so much like hyenas, they're prepared to take more risks than leopards are. So really, a leopard would be very foolhardy and suicidal to take on a lion. I think the danger is passing. I can still see them filtering through the bushes every so often. But the whole pride is now mobile south. I think they'll probably fetch up in the dry riverbed of the Umluamati sometime during this afternoon. It'll be the place to go and look for them. All right, let's go back to Sydney. I believe he was mid-thought on some ants when we pulled you across to us with the lions.
I do have one of the ants there is very much active. This one is not dead. And earlier on, let me just carry on from previous. Earlier on, I was explaining to you about the ants when there is a dead ant in the colony. So what they do is that they leave it for about 2 days. And after 2 days, when it's starting to decompose, it's going to give off an oleic acid. And that oleic acid informs the other ones to come, and they must have to pay some sign of respect for all the efforts one has done to the colony, and they must have to send it up to the graveyard. You'll see them on a processionary form. Very interesting when they are going to bury their loved ones. So these insects, if by any mistake they touch oleic acid and come back to the nest, the oleic acid is equal to death to the other members. They're going to have to immediately drag it up and bury it alive. So very much interesting. So the insects can be very, very much interesting. So the ants, that is how they are burying each other, and that is how they detect that one is dead. And apart from that, Rina, the most dangerous insect in the bush is the bees. The bees, they are very dangerous, but also the wasps, because the wasps are not like the bees. Bees are going to come and sting you once, but the wasps, they are kind of an automatic. They are going to sting you until you get disappeared. Those are the ones that I can promise you can be very much dangerous. And they are not poisonous, so they just sting, and it's very painful. So the insects, if you can check, such as the ants, these insects, how they live is interesting. And the shape of the ant, let's think about the ant. The stomach of the ant is after the waist. It's very thin, the waist is very thin, and the stomach is after. So it means these insects cannot eat solids. But how they must eat, they have got an adaptation. All the food that you have seen the ants dragging every day, they are not going to eat them. They drag them to give to their larva. The larva does not have a shape, and the larva will eat and then secrete the fluid, and the rest of the group in the colony is going to eat that kind of a fluid. So you can see that the ant, if the queen dies, because the queen is responsible to lay eggs, it means the whole colony is going to die in a very short space, because there won't be a machine, because the queen serves as a machine to lay eggs, and this egg is the one that brings the larva all the time. That is why the queen is proactive in such a way that they don't have to fertilize all the sperms after mating, so that they can just keep reproducing. They can just keep laying eggs all the time. So you can see that these insects are very much interesting. Ashley, yes, you must have to take ants into consideration as from today. How they do things is phenomenal. Very small insect, but their behavior is fascinating. Sarah, yes, the ants, they do swarm in our living area. And remember, some of these ants, they confuse people. Like some they call the swarms of the termites, the flying ants, the ones that we eat. But the normal ant, we don't eat them. We only eat the swarm of the termites. Yes, they do swarm, and reason for them to swarm the ants is interesting, because how the ants choose partners is not like how other animals does. Other animals gonna have to fight for the territories, but the ants, they're gonna have to fly. The female must have to fly and fly very fast, whereas all the males will be flying with her. And whoever is going to fly the furthest is the one who will be chosen, because he's got strong power and strength. So it means he's a responsible man. They think about the genes of their little ones when they're choosing a partner. Let's go back to Hosanna with James and see Hosanna when saying goodbye.
Well, he's certainly not saying goodbye to whatever he's looking at now. I can't see anything that he could be looking at. I think the lions have all passed, but there might be a straggler lurking in the bushes there somewhere. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been spotted. The lions also wouldn't give chase from where they are, even if they spotted him here, which I think is almost impossible. They might take a few steps towards him, but he'd disappear so fast that they'd give up. I mean, it was a good 150 meters or so from them. Julia, I think their top end speed is probably slightly faster than leopards. I think they're supposed to have been clocked doing about 80 kilometers an hour. I think a leopard between 70 and 75. But I think off the mark you'll find leopards are quicker. So I mean, a leopard is at top speed in about 2 strides. A lion, being heavier, probably takes a little bit longer. He is, of course, very full of food though right now, but that won't make any difference. And that's why he's chosen this very kind of I can't find another word for it, so I'm just going to use the word I always use, this dappled shade that he's found underneath this quarry bush. It's the kind of light that makes it most difficult to see, because it most accurately mirrors his coat. So he hasn't chosen deep shade, and nor has he chosen to lie in the open. That sounds a bit obvious, but he's chosen dappled light. Yes, there's something there. It's a duiker that he's looking at. The duiker has gone into the safety of a thicket, but that's what he was looking at. He's not going to go hunting, not when he thinks that there are lions close by. I think he'll just stay right where he is now, actually, probably for the next hour or so. And then I would keep an eye on the Jumadam Cam, because I suspect he'll pitch up there sometime during the day. What a fabulous fellow he is. Quite a cool day. I think it's really going to be perfectly temperatured, actually. For a leopard like this, he's not going to get hot and panty. And I think for us too, it's going to be very pleasant. We are drawing to the close now, of course, of the sunrise safari, all the way from the Masai Mara and the Western Kruger National Park of South Africa. Brent will be out until sort of mid-morning, and then Jamie will take over from him. So if anything action-wise happens during the migration there in the mayhem of the Mara, they will go live on an unscheduled basis. So keep a lookout for your Facebook notifications. Thank you for your questions and comments, your participation on our live safari. It's been great. We will see you later this afternoon at 15:30. Bye-bye.